So a big event happened that I haven't talked about yet on Monday. Israel hit a embassy annex. So one of the buildings as part of the embassy complex, the Iranian embassy in Damascus, Syria. Apparently there was a high-level meeting of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force. So these are the elite commanders of the irregular forces. So three major generals were there. General Hossein Amanallah, who commands the Syria and Lebanon Iranian Revolutionary Guards and the associated forces. Major General Haj Rahimi, who commands the Palestinian areas. And then the major guy was Mohammad Reza Zahidi, who's a top Iranian Revolutionary Guard guy. And so these three guys, a total of 8 Iranians, were taken off the table, so to speak. 2 Syrians and 1 Lebanese. This is a major escalation. A lot of people are very upset because this was part of the embassy complex in Damascus, and of course you don't intentionally hit complex, consular complexes or annexes. Now the embassy building itself was not hit, so this was one of the secondary buildings around the area, and so that was what was hit. Now Russia has come out and strongly condemned this. Iran, of course, has come back and started threatening pretty significant things, and even I want to call them the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, but they call themselves the Islamic Revolutionary Guards. They are apparently having a significant uptick in activity at long-range missile sites across Iran. So there is concern that Iran may try to use a long-range missile strike against Israel or against an Israeli embassy somewhere. So this definitely is an escalation in the situation over there that we need to be concerned about. There is some talk about, is Israel trying to directly pull Iran into a direct conflict so that the United States will intervene? And that may be the case because this is a major escalation. So Russia has said that this is a violation of the Vienna Conventions. Everyone who's saying it's a violation of the Geneva Conventions needs to get their conventions straight, because it's the Vienna Convention that talks about the embassies and consular affairs and diplomats and that type of thing. But anyway, Russia is upset about that and is talking about how Israel is violating norms and conduct and all sorts of stuff. Meanwhile, Russia has mostly been standing aside and allowing Israel to do the airstrikes in Syria that they have been, and that's continuing and ongoing. We have Israel's response to attacking part of the Iranian embassy was that it was not a diplomatic building, it was not a civilian building, it was a military Islamic Revolutionary Guards building masquerading or pretending to be a civilian building. The airstrike did, like I said, 11 people lost their lives, and in that, of those 11 people, all of them were combatants. All of them were military members. There were no civilians in the area that were affected by this. And so that does go to speak to the effect that this was apparently a legitimate military target, and that this was not done in error, like the attack on the World Kitchen convoy, where 3 missiles were fired at vehicles that were full of Western aid workers and such like that. Now that's a whole different conversation that we should probably have there too, where that was supposedly done in error, and it may have been an error, and it may have been intentional and made to look like it was an error, because It's no secret that Israel does not want to see foreign aid workers in that zone. They don't want to see foreigners where they can see things, transmitting images and everything like that. They much rather an accidental attack on a convoy of Westerners than for Westerners for over months and years to be sending streams of pictures and propaganda from within Gaza. And so that, as a humanitarian aid worker who has worked in those areas, call me cynical, but when you have an occupying force like that, it's actually much, much more in Israel's interest to have this one oopsie where they can always say, but it was an accident. But now aid workers are going to seriously consider whether it's worth their lives to go into that conflict zone and and risk an oopsie from the Israeli government, or even, I mean, it just makes it so much more difficult to make the decision to go and be a part of that. So many times, people who get involved in this type of work are very naive about how the world works, and they get woken up about that pretty fast. A lot of the people who are naive about that tend to go to safer places, but they still have a tendency to go to places that they really aren't safe. You know, these aid workers show up in Haiti. They show up in places where they don't think it's quite so dangerous, but it really is very, very dangerous. And so you have some of these greenhorns showing up in Gaza, who are now being part of a conflict that has gone over 100 years in the recent memory, and potentially 1,000+ years in near recent memory. But all of that to say, I'm not so sure that that was a full oopsie, or whether it was maybe potentially intentional in order to make aid workers seriously consider before they go, which means there'll be a lot less aid workers going. And the aid workers that will go will be the ones who understand that it's important to keep their heads down, to keep their social medias shut and tight, not leaking information, because they realize the reality on the ground is that if they leak pictures, if they leak information, they may not be considered legitimate war targets, but they may be considered in the black books. They may find themselves on the receiving end of not getting visas and all that kind of stuff like that. People who have been in the conflict areas know that you shut up and you don't say anything. You don't say things bad about the government. You don't say bad things about the rebels. You just don't say anything. You don't say anything about anybody, because your purpose there is to help people. It's not to make political statements. It's not about getting your name up on social media or getting your name up in lights. It's about just helping people. And so the more experienced aid workers, like Doctors Without Borders, most of those folks work in very rough areas, and aid agencies that are not celebrity run. These relief organizations know you don't issue publicity statements. You don't do that kind of stuff. You stay out of it. You just help people and you keep your head down. And so this type of attack is definitely going to make it very, very hard for a lot of these other celebrity-run, the organizations funded by the people screaming in New York City at their Democrat overlords, right? All that to say, we got a lot going on in that part of the world right now that we need to be paying attention to, because we are getting drawn into World War III. Whether Israel is directly intentionally drawing us in, or whether it is more just it's happening and it's inevitable and we're heading that way. But I've heard through some contacts, I can't verify them and I don't know how reliable it is, but I found it reliable enough that I might be passing along. But apparently somebody said that apparently something happened in the last week in Iran to compromise their enrichment of nuclear materials. So they're enriching uranium for weapons. This person said that something happened, that the United States or Israel or both did something, and that has been handled. So take that for what you will. If you can find any corroborating evidence out there that corroborates that, please let me know. You can always email me at poplarpreparedness@gmail.com. That was interesting, and I'm definitely starting to search the news to see if there's anything that that indicates that. But then we have this major strike against an Iranian consulate or annex building attached to the embassy, and that, you know, you have to wonder, would Israel be willing to do that type of strike if there was a concern that Iran might have nuclear weapons or might soon have nuclear weapons? So there is that. So all that to say, lots of things happening over there in the Middle East. And I'm still getting some aftershocks here in Taiwan, so I'm a little jittery on the 6th floor, and things move a little more up here. But we had a major earthquake here on Wednesday, 7.4, just outside of Taipei. So it was pretty strong. I was on the ground floor, and it was hard to walk. So we're still kind of mopping up from that. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar, The Poplar Report, out.